Let's look into what's going on in Uganda today since the year started. Now, while we were ending 2019, everyone was so expecting a lot of things to happen, opposition coming together, joining hands, so that they can also President Museveni out of power. That has been the order of the day, the discussion since, especially since Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi came in to say that I'm standing as a presidential candidate. We have also seen other members of the political parties in Uganda, Chairman Norbert Mao also saying that I will stand as a presidential candidate. We have also seen different individuals coming up over the same case. Now, here's a true statement or reality of what's going on in the country. And this is my opening statement. If the opposition tells us that they are united and they cannot stand together, but every time bickering against each other, that's going to be a lie for them to win the coming 2021 elections. Now, I'm starting the show like that today and opening up the debate with these two amazing individuals that we always come here and sit and discuss, Sarah Joy Bakanasa and Richard Myombia. But my name is David Ubur and I welcome you again on Uganda at Crossroads. Guys, first of all, I want to thank you for joining me today. Last week was amazing. This week is also, it has been amazing throughout up to today, I should say. My side has been okay. But let me start with Richard. Richard, the week has been amazing in different ways. The government has always, told us that we have to increase on the budget of the electoral time that the electoral climate is coming in 2021. We don't have enough money. This is what we've been getting from the government. How was your week?
My week was a little bit sad. I saw these two people that died in a helicopter crash in Ibulobu, Tambala. And one of the most sad scenes that I saw in my life, because I like Bagisu people. But Bagisu people have been used by so many governments in Uganda for the oppression of other people, but they are good people. I saw a young man who was learning how to fly a helicopter or to use a helicopter in combat because he was under the instruction of this Naomi, the woman that died. Then I saw where this man was buried. I saw his hometown. I saw his house of the fathers. I saw the children that were left behind. Because this so much touched me. Because if this man was trying to learn how to fly an helicopter, why would they be teaching him topography in Igomba, where Bobiwine comes from?
That should be part of the training. Richard, thank you. So I want to bring in Sarah. Sarah, the other week was amazing, based on what you said. How was this week as we ended it? We are ending it today. Did you receive anything new? Did you get anything interesting?
Good afternoon and good evening, viewers who are watching us from the East and West Coast, and it must be night to some of our viewers who watch us from Africa and other parts of the world. Welcome to Uganda at Crossroads. Definitely, they are always interesting. If we base it to what happens in Uganda, there are always interesting things that keep coming out of there. Interesting, sad, and concerning, and things that we should be pay more attention to. So it's always and there's a lot of comedy in Uganda, as in our leaders, also even our politicians are very comical. So it's always sad and interesting at the same time.
All right, sure. I want to thank you. This week, the previous 2 weeks, actually, some of the major stories that were happening were between President Museveni's statements to the judiciary or the judges, and of course the opposition in terms of Secretary Generals for FDC. And of course the opposition in terms of Secretary Generals for FDC and Dr. Besigye and the rest. That's a trend in Uganda nowadays. We know it's part of life for many Ugandans who stay in Uganda. And of course, even those, some of us who are staying in the diaspora, we keep on following the stories as they unveil back in Uganda. But the most important part, and why I started the show by giving a statement, why you guys in the opposition are saying that the opposition should be united, and you say, at one time I was here with Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi, I asked him, are you in great agreement? Are you talking with the opposition, probably Dr. Besigye, whether you're going to present one candidate? And they said, yes, there are talks. And we have had Dr. Besigye saying the same. We've had different videos saying the same. But at the same time, we have had different opposition politicians who are key stakeholders in these political parties coming out to say, no, it's not right. We have to present somebody else. Now, I want to read to you what Nathan Fabi said at one time when just recently on 23rd, he's not happy with what is going on with this political organization, and the coalition that many Ugandans are thinking about is not going to happen, because for him, he doesn't look at people power as a political party. So there is no need for them to unite. Now, I want to start with you, Sarah. What does that tell you? You guys, you've been promising Ugandans, oh, our leaders, the top leadership is talking, they're discussing, by 2021 we will have a consensus. It's not what is happening. What exactly is going on, according to you, Sarah?
I think some of these politicians or people should understand where we are right now in Uganda is beyond political parties. This is not an issue of FDC, UPC, DP, and all that. The issue where we are right now in Uganda is we need someone who is going to out Museveni out of power. That's what we are more interested in, because if we've had issues of we've had parties, and parties have not helped us, because most times you look at parties and those who lead the parties are more interested in elevating and keeping their positions. That's why you have Dr. Besigye, even when he wasn't party president, he stood for president, when literally he wasn't supposed to be standing for president, because there was another, you know, there was another FDC president by then. So I think our leaders they are not, I think they need to understand what Ugandans are saying, and I think they are so detached from what is happening to the common Ugandan and common man. Where we are right now, every common Ugandans want change. It doesn't matter which political party, it doesn't matter which individual. What we are looking at, we are interested in someone who has the zeal, someone Ugandans believe in, who is going to take down Museveni. Which political party takes down Museveni is totally none of our business, because it does not help us. Because political parties have been there. You've had DP, you've had UPC, you've had the FDC. FDC has tried against Museveni for the last 20 years. What have we gotten out of that? Nothing. So this is beyond political parties. So it is entirely up to them, because they must understand this issue is no longer, because before Ugandans were not deeply involved in the issues of what happens in Uganda. Now you have Ugandans deeply involved in the politics of Uganda, and they want change depending on so many things that have been happening in the country, the circumstances. Ugandans don't have this poor service delivery, there's high levels of unemployment. Everything is wrong. Even if you're blind, even if you can't, even if you are deaf, you can feel or you can see it. So I think this is beyond Nandala Mafabi. It is the issue of 45 million Ugandans who really want change, and it doesn't matter whether someone comes from DP, FDC, but we want someone who has potential to take down.
You know, before you finish, Sarah, I want to read you exactly what Nathan Fabi, the Secretary General for FDC, said. He said, and I quote, "People are coming to him not because he's a good politician, but a musician. They want to see how he looks like." He said, adding the... Now, they want to see how Bobiwine looks like, not because he's a politician. That's why maybe you, people who support, especially people power, you may be lying to Ugandans that Bobiwine is having a good number of supporters, and yet it's not the reality. These are political veterans who have been in the country, have been serving the country for years as members of parliament, have represented Uganda in different international conferences. Doesn't that send a great message to the supporters of people power in Uganda?
Nandala must understand, Bobiwine has been singing for the last 20 years. So,
and that's why he said that because he's a musician, that's what people see him.
Bobiwine has been singing for the last 20 years. He has canvassed, at least he has had a show in every part of Uganda. So the issue is not seeing him as a musician. Yes, it could be partly people know him or love him because he's a musician, but Nandala Mafabi, if the issue is Bobiwine just being a musician, people come to him as a musician, Nandala Mafabi, why doesn't he stand? Why doesn't he have the popularity Bobiwine has? Or he has been around also for a long time, Nandala Mafabi. Why does it, one of the things I've seen with these politicians is they've I think they're taking more of a personal issue than, and they're not putting into consideration what is hurting Ugandans, the 45 million Ugandans who really want change. Because if you tell me his popularity is because he's a musician, and at one time we had Dr. Besigye popular just because he had ever been to the bush with President Museveni and he was Museveni's doctor. So many people liked or followed Dr. Besigye. There are people who believed in him taking down Museveni because he was his personal doctor. So they believed, oh, he knows him on a personal note because he was his personal doctor and not because he was the best. But at that point in time, Museveni, at that point in time, Besigye was, you know, he had the wave, he had Ugandans believed in him. But, you know, and one of the things these people should understand, even FDs and all the rest, you know, times come and go. Because Bobiwine, you're going to wake up tomorrow when there's another Bobiwine that has risen up. Just like there was Besigye, just like there was Sebagala. After Sebagala, Besigye came up. And Sebagala was wiped off the scene. Right now, there are people who will ask who is Sebagala. If they didn't pay so much attention in the politics, then they may not know him. So they must understand, even Dr. Besigye and even the FDC camp must understand there is a wave that is happening right now. Maybe 10 years, 20 years, there will be another person, bigger and stronger than Bobiwine. But we cannot miss out an opportunity. They must understand at this point in time, we are not looking at, yes, more popular would be one, but who do we, because this generation that is kind of bickering with Bobiwine, they don't fit into the generation of, they don't fit into the 75% of Uganda.
They don't fit into the 75%, but they also don't fit into, they do fit in a percentage that votes.
Yeah, they do fit in a percentage that votes, but the majority of Ugandans, we need the 75%.
Don't vote.
No, the 70, that's why you have the Ugandans that are voters. The 75% of the population. You have youth, you have people who are 18 years and above. You have majority, leave alone the babies. You have a majority of Ugandans who are now of voting age. Anyone, I'll give an example. Anyone, let's go even back to 2000. Anyone who was born in 2000 is of voting age. Am I lying?
No, you're right.
Exactly. So people, and this is when Besigye came up. There are so many Ugandans who do not know any other president. I don't know any other president.
Oh, so that's why
I'm telling you, they need to understand the wave we are in right now. Bobiwine resonates with 75% of the population because he's one of them. They know him. Maybe they've seen him start his music career. Maybe they've seen him sing, or maybe they've seen. So he resonates with them. And you know, you cannot say I'm more politically correct or I know so much about politics. We've seen Bobiwine graduate, or he has moved from one stage to another. We've seen him, you know, making blunders. We've seen him now where he is right now. He understands a number of issues. He's been educating himself. You cannot say you have a PhD in politics or you understand politics better, because if it was an issue of a PhD in politics and who understands politics better, Museveni would not have failed Uganda.
So, yeah, sure. Richard, let me read again a quote from Nathan and Ndala Mafabi, the Honorable. He said, this is what he said: I would love to dispute all that is being said about coalition with people power. A party cannot merge with individuals. Now, let me continue with this, and I'm before you step in. He continues to say, they cannot do much unless they form themselves into a party. We are a party and with an organized foundation. You don't have a foundation that is organized, number one. You are not a party. You live in an individualistic world. So respond to that.
Let's first talk about, the first thing is winning an election. I'll give you an example. Ukraine. Ukraine, a man comes out with slogans. He was one of the famous TV presenters. People were saying his ideas. And he took an election of Ukraine. Today he's the president of Ukraine. In Ukraine. So this thing of saying that Honorable Chagwen cannot take power is wrong. The second thing, what does Honorable Chagwen need, or what does people power need, is to take over a country. As soon as he takes over the country, he must take with him the parliament. In this election, what is more important is now the parliament. Yeah. Because the reason why he was going to merge, or he's going to merge, because we have not had the final statement from Honorable Chagwen, and we have not had the final statement from Kizza Besigye.
But we do know that FDC has a constitution it follows.
Yeah, but the constitution is always amended to fit in. I always talked about the last time the constitution was amended. I was in a town hall meeting here with Kizza Besigye of the constitutional reforms that happened to fit in federalism as a system of government when FDC takes over power in Uganda. We were in a town hall meeting. So always constitution could be amended even if in a week. It could be amended to fit in whatever they want to do. The most important thing in this election, can Bobiwine win with the members of parliament that can change the constitution of Uganda? Because as he's moving now, as he's going to move around the country for what people want, he cannot do reforms when he's a leader unless he has the members of parliament on his side. If you look at what has happened in Congo, they are way back in a deep mess because the members of parliament were retained by the former government. Look at what is happening in Burundi. It's the same thing. So what we need now, if they cannot join hands with Honorable Chagwany, Honorable Chagwany will go alone and take over the leadership of the country as a president. But the reforms that we need to change Uganda from the course where it is moving from the negative to the positive, we shall have to need to work with the opposition, the DP in their stronghold, the UPC in their stronghold, the FDC in their stronghold, so that these members are on the side of Honorable Chagwany are going to change.
You mentioned something about DP and other oppositions, but these are the people, you people in the opposition, some of People Power and other organizations. You call some of your members in the opposition Mo's that they work with the government. How are you going to make a coalition with the people you do disagree with?
Yeah, I was seeing yesterday one of the women that won the Ruwero was one of the former members of parliament in the DP in the Ruwero area, and was going to contest with this man who Robert Mao. You see, and right now they have problems in Masaka, where because Masaka is like Iowa of America, it's the first caucuses where they determine the person who is going to lead them into victory in their party. But if you look at what they were telling him themselves, they say he's a mole. He's a mole.
And these are the people you want to do a coalition?
No. Him being the leader of the Democratic Party, what can a member of the Democratic Party be a member of People Power? Yes, that's what we need. We don't need him as the leader of the political party to form a coalition to take over leadership. No, the leadership will be taken over by Honorable Chagwany. Yes or no, he'll take it. But what is most important are the members of parliament. Are they willing to work with him to do a reform that he needs, to kick out Museveni and his policies forever in Uganda? That's the most important thing.
That's the most important thing, and I want to thank you, you guys, for breaking that down, because there's a lot of confusion within the masses whether they should vote for one, Bobiwine as a presidential candidate, or they should bring in Dr. Besigye as a presidential candidate, whether they should bring in Mugisha Moses as a presidential candidate, who is also part of the FDC, or Robert Mao. Among others, there are people who are going to come in towards the election time and they say, hey, I want to be the presidential candidate. Now, we're expecting to see what happened during the TDA, right? People saying we are going to form a coalition. At the end of the day, they don't. And when it comes to elections, they start dividing votes. Isn't that what we're expecting to see in 2021, sir?
I think we need, as Ugandans, we are going to put pressure on politicians, because for a long time politicians have been acting selfishly. Just like I said, politicians most times, especially when you see political parties, they are more interested in keeping their positions. One is comfortable with being an FDC president, one is comfortable with being a DP president. They are comfortable in that position, and they forget that there are 45 million Ugandans who really are desperate for change. If the rest of the leaders, for example, if Dr. Besigye, he may want to come back again, but for 20 years Dr. Besigye has been trying. What more is he going to say? He hasn't told Ugandans in the last 20 years. Dr. Besigye has run against President Museveni for the last 20 years. Unless there is a problem, can Dr. Besigye know that he has, for the last 20 years, he has used every tactic. Everyone has stood behind Dr. Besigye, and he has failed. Maybe him as an individual cannot take down cannot take down Museveni. When you look at the rest, Mao the other time, I think Mao did not stand. But the rest, they are just wasting our time because they've been in the political arena for some time and they've not done much, or they're not going to do much. If opposition members of parliament decide to come and divide the opposition vote, it is going to be very absurd and it's going to be very disappointing to Ugandans, especially those who need change. Because we must agree, some of these political leaders, the political party leaders who are fighting to divide the opposition vote, they are not as suffering as the normal, ordinary Ugandan. They have, they have either their kids live abroad. Dr. Besigye's son lives abroad. He does not even know the fracas in Uganda. Maybe he sees it on TV or a little bit on the internet. He does not know what it means to suffer. He does not know what it means to live in a, he does, because he has not lived in Uganda since childhood. When you talk about, when you see also the rest, so they should forgive us and not be selfish, because we do not want, because anytime political parties or leaders come up and their intention is to divide the opposition vote, what are they doing? They are giving Museveni all the tactics to win an election. As much as we know Museveni is going to rig, but you give him, even observers, if you're divided and you're 4 or 5 people opposition on the ballot, even if Museveni rigs, you give him the leeway to say, I want the vote outrightly. Let's have one candidate on the ballot. We need a block vote. The only time, because one thing we must accept and know, Museveni is going to rig. That is no-brainer. It is going to happen. But how do you win an election even when someone has rigged? Win by a block vote. Because just imagine, if you have a block vote whereby Ugandans, 80% of Ugandans vote for Kyagulanyi, and you have Museveni rigging on the other side, and you have 70% voted for Museveni, it does not work out. It doesn't work out. Because that will be 150%. It doesn't work out. So there will be an issue where what went wrong? How comes we have more votes casted than the votes that were supposed to be,
right.
So,
yeah, but guys, I want to take you off from that fracas, because what's going on in Uganda is, one may say it's interesting, but at the same time, it's annoying. Let me leave it at that. Now, you remember when President Museveni was attending the the annual judicial conference, the 22nd annual judicial conference. Now, the president was so serious about the key things that are happening in the country. He looked at the judiciary, the judges who stop investors from investing in the country by, using their powers that deters the progress of the economy. Now, this is what the president said, and I want to quote from his original statement. He was so furious. He said, "I heard that the court stopped the man who had put $630 million on ground. It's really terrible. Why stop?" Now, the president was so serious about this. If these guys are calling about who is who that can be settled, why stop the construction? Now, the president was wondering. Now, one may say that the president was right to come up with what's going on with the judicial system in the country. The judges are no longer working to let the country develop, but to let themselves be wealthy, get bribes from these individuals. And now the president is coming out to one who are fighting corruption from the judicial system. He's furious about what is going on in the country. So, Richard, I want to bring you in. I know you read about this story when the president was now acting as the president of the country, representing the people of the country, a president who wants to see success for the economy.
Yeah, I think the judges are right. We don't need, look, what Uganda needs today is jobs creation, because what Museveni is trying to do.
And that's what the president is doing. He's bringing in more investors. He's bringing Chinese. Last time we saw him in England.
There's no way anywhere in the world, in the whole world, the way Museveni is running Uganda, the way they are doing the things in Uganda, you cannot bring in people as foreigners and say, oh, we are giving you that piece of land for free, so that you bring in your factory, then you bring in an investment where we give you a tax break for 10 years, and then you create for us jobs.
But you were saying that majority of the youth in the country are unemployed. Yeah, the president is doing his job as a president of the country, elected by the people of the country, to go and seek for foreign investors.
No. What do we need? Because these are the two issues that myself as a man, that I'm fighting against Museveni. Why would you bring in investors in the country so that our own people, you give away our own land and opportunities of work to a foreigner and money, and then you let your own people in a country, if you think that you're Ugandan, people to come in and work as servants in their own country? The best way would have been, what we are going to do, what people power is going to do, is change everything. Capitalism. The Ugandans must own the industries themselves. They must own the wealth. They must own the workforce in the country. I agree with with the judges. If I was the one in power, I've stopped all these foreigners, the way they are operating in a country, to come and take the job opportunities in the country and the wealth and the jobs, and bring in workers from outside the country and take everything by themselves. I don't totally agree with that.
Well, sorry,
if I make a submission on that, one of the things you must understand, let's look at investors that have come in Uganda and how much have they benefited Ugandans. If you're going to bring investors to displace Ugandans and chase them off land, we've had people that have been displaced and either turned homeless by investors. So you come and displace Ugandans and give land to investors. Museveni has a lot of land in Rwakitula. He should give Ugandans, he should give the investors some of the land in Rwakitula. And what has he done? You've had investors that have come into the country, given some of the tourist sites, and then given, that's why you see there's a lot of flooding in Kampala here, given a tax holiday for 10 years. After the tax holiday, these investors leave the country. You know what happened with Warid? I don't know if you know what happened with Warid. Warid, that was a telecommunication company. After the tax holiday of 10 years, Warid left the country. Ugandans did not benefit from Warid because Warid was not paying taxes. And Warid had so many customers onto their network because of the promotions and services they used to give. So after the tax holiday, they were so wise because they knew that's when they're going to start paying the taxes. They sold off the company and left. How did that benefit Ugandans? Because they were not paying taxes. And at the same time, we've had the so-called investors where, for example, the Lubowa Hospital saga. That money was given to an investor to build an hospital, but right now we don't know what happened with the money. So as much as we would want investors to come in and invest into the country, how it is done, there is a lot of mafiaism in how everything is done. Individuals, including Museveni and his family, are benefiting from this. I'll give you an example.
Doesn't that make the president right to come out and say, judges, you need to stop what you're doing? You're affecting the economy negatively. The judges are stopping
the dubious way of how things are being done.
But the president was right. The judge stopped almost 600.
It doesn't matter how much money, because that sounds like a lot of money, but how was it going to affect Ugandans? I don't think the judges would stop something that was going to benefit Ugandans. I'll give you an example. There are roads that have been built by Chinese, but when you go to these road construction sites, the helpers, the tea girls, the people who do the laboring on these sites come from China. How is it benefiting Ugandans? Go to some of these companies or whatever you call, especially ones owned by Chinese and all that. 90%, 80% of the people who work in there are Chinese. How is it helping Ugandans? How is it helping Ugandans? Because they give you investment, they come into the country, and at the same time they bring their own labor. So you mean Ugandans, we don't have Ugandans who are qualified to do these jobs? So it doesn't benefit Ugandans, but it benefits a few individuals who get the cut when they allow individuals, because for a foreigner to come in, you have to pay commission, and there are a lot of things you have to pay. There are a lot of some amount of money, huge amounts of money you have to pay before you're allowed into a country to do investment.
You know, when the president continued to say, and I quote, that there is no way you can say you're serious, that you're a judge. And they don't be clever, but suddenly I can see that you're not serious. What are you looking for? Now, the president maybe sarcastically was looking for, do you want this person to first give you a bribe, then you let the project move on? And here's a guy who has been fighting against corruption for a number of times, and he's doing a great job in making sure that things happen.
Okay, in the days of Clinton here in America, this is what happened. When Clinton passed that bill of outsourcing in China, because we are talking now on job creation and transformation. China was way back in jobs creation. The economy of China was so bad. What the Americans did, they took their companies from here and took them to China. When they reached China, they were never given a free land. They put them into partnership with the Chinese people who owned land or people who owned factories there. Then they brought in their machinery, they brought in their capital, they brought in their expertise, and then they hired people in China. And then the goods that were manufactured in China were shipped over to America because these were American companies. That is the best way to develop a country. And that's what People Power is going to do in Uganda. Bring in Americans, co-partners in development, and then the owners of the land come together with the investor, the American investors. Then you develop an industry where Uganda will get jobs, where the Ugandans will get the money themselves, because that's the proper way. But Museveni's way of doing things are totally so bad to the economy and the people of Uganda. That's why the judges are interfering. You cannot bring someone from China. I repeat, you cannot bring someone from China and give him a free land where people are on that very land. And you tell hundreds, thousands of Ugandans to leave their own land because it's going to be given to an investor forever. What are you doing to that country? Because you're going to create jobs. You're bringing in an investor with $600 million. Remember what happened in Sese Island? Sese Island during the days of Kiseka. This was a hot debate in Kiseka by then. We had never heard about $760 million in Sese Island. The whole of Sese Island was going to be bought by a very wealthy investor. $760 million. By then, that's about 30 years ago. What did the country do before Museveni turned the way he is now? They refused it completely. It was a lot of money. He said he was going to build hotels, beaches, and everything. But for the beneficiary of the people of Uganda, it was totally negative. That's why judges are interfering in this. That's why it is wrong, wrong, and wrong.
To do that?
Yes, you cannot.
So you do disagree with what the president is trying to do?
I don't like it, and we shall kick them out.
And yet, in your position, you are also fighting against yourselves because
no. That policy is totally wrong. We know the right policy. Museveni doesn't want Ugandans to make money. He wants them to be poor.
Richard, before you leave that topic, let me ask you this question: does the president have the power to influence the decisions made by the judges?
Yeah,
he's not supposed to. He's, because the judiciary is supposed to be extremely independent. But we've had, what we must say, we've had the judiciary working for President Museveni only on rare instances where their common sense rides over, over envelopes they are given. But you know very well it's supposed to be completely an independent entity that it shouldn't be interfered by the executive.
But the president, based on the constitution of Uganda, approves all these judges.
Yes, but as much as he appoints, they're supposed to be extremely independent, because they should never be influenced. We've had so many instances where, even the last previous election where Babazi took Museveni to court, you saw how the judges were meeting at State House, you saw how the judges, they didn't even know what to say, they were confused, because they are influenced by the executive. They should be. I'll just draw you back into the politics of the United States. Trump cannot influence how judges make decisions. That's why you've seen some of his immigration policies overturned, their DACA was overturned. Why? Yet he's the one who appointed these judges. He appoints these judges. Some of the judges are coming from the previous president, but some of the judges that sit on the panel, especially the Supreme Court, were put there by Trump. But they've overturned things that have been put by the executive because they're not right. So they are supposed to, in a country where the democracy really works, the judiciary is supposed to be extremely independent.
I'm going to give you a small comment.
Yeah,
there. I've been following this impeachment trial. In one of the pleading, one of the lawyers for the managers of the lawyers said, because this is constitutional, he said, even where the Supreme Court judge, the leader of the judges in this country where we are now, if he makes a decision that people don't like, the Senate has power to overturn. The Senate of the United States of America has power to overturn the ruling of a Supreme Court here in America. The issue of Uganda is the bad constitution that Museveni made for himself. If the judges make mistakes, who is supposed to overturn their ruling? There should be a body. That's why I always say that in the reforms that are going to happen in Uganda, I would push for two houses, check and balance. The Congress divided into two, where there's the Senate, and then they were the House of Representatives for check and balance. If there's something wrong a judge has done, and so you go to the Senate and say, look, this is wrong.
It is supposed to produce a certain amount of taxes produced or collected in every quarter. So definitely they have to do what they have to do. So he should stop this mockery, because he is very good at working. You know, he's very good at the talk, but the actions are really, you know, they do not add up. Is it going to stop? No, definitely it's not going to stop. The poor Ugandans, and as much as he wants to feel sorry for the people selling Gonja and Nakati and all that, I wish he used the same energy, and I wish he made the same statements before they kicked off the people of Lusanja off their land. Because those were people, poor people. Those were Ugandans who work, you know, those are the Gonja sellers he's talking about. Those are women and men who are selling Gonja, who are vending, who work on the streets, who operate businesses that are small, who had gathered their money or taken loans from microfinances and bought a certain piece of land so that they can have their families there. But he had no mercy. But Lusanja, he went to Lusanja, the best he could do was to give them beans with weevils and expired rice and expired posho. So if he really wants to take care, if he wants to feel for the poor people, he should have felt for the people of Lusanja. And we have so many instances where poor Ugandans have either been dismissed or have been mistreated, and the president is quiet. So he should not start playing games talking about us selling Gonja, yet the same Gonja sellers who have saved their little money and bought a piece of land to raise their kids are being displaced from their lands, and now they are homeless.
All right, so Richard, before you bring in, but what does this tell you, the opposition? Because the president is now using this strategy, and the potential voters of opposition, probably people power with this ODP, may be taken by the regime, by the interim government again. What does that send? What message does it send to you guys?
Okay, let me first go back because that statement hurt me a lot. The way Museveni said it, he said the NRM people stop taxing the poor people of Gonja, will get Kisiran. Who has made the people poor in Uganda? If you know the history of Uganda very well, or Milton Obote started this strategy of socialism, of turning an economy, they turned the economy in favor of the ruling party. So all the wealth of the country, you must have, to get something to eat, you must be following NRM in their party to get wealth from Museveni, because he holds the key to wealth. And these poor people that have not joined the NRM are supposed to be selling Gonja. Who has made the people poor in Uganda? Were they born like that? Now, let me give you an example. Last week, I even talked it on my Facebook. How do you tell people that you are making them, you want them to become wealthy, and then in Lukaya, you bring Chinese to grow rice in Lukaya? You bring Chinese from China, and then you tell them they are the one going to be growing rice in Lukaya, where people sell Gonja and Muchomo. Instead of the people selling Gonja, people come here and grow rice. That's a very small thing. Fish. I even talked about fish. You have given the leg to the soldiers. They're kicking out the people where they're supposed to be making money. A kilogram of mputa in Uganda, the kilogram of mao in Uganda, do you know how much it's selling on international market? So you stop people, of your own people in the country, to get money where they're supposed to start business and expand themselves to larger capitals and larger investment. Then you bring in foreigners. When these people are poor selling Gonja, and then the NRM people come and tax them because they own every office in the country. Is that fair? This is what people power is fighting for.
And that's what the president
must not be a member of any political party to own anything or any office in the country.
That's what the president disagreeing with, people taxing poor people, yet they have other means of getting the same tax.
But who has made them like that? Who has made them like that? It is his bad political and economic policy. That's what we are going to fight and change. Any person in Uganda, be it in any political party, shall not be.
So, are you suggesting that Ugandans shouldn't be taxed too?
No. There are taxes that are supposed to be paid for every. Do you think they don't pay this imposer every day?
No, and that's what the president is saying.
No, that's not imposer. But you know how many taxes people are paying in Uganda now?
He's a joker. I think if he had proper economic policies, there's nothing wrong with Ugandans paying taxes. All Ugandans, for sure, must pay taxes because it's for the betterment of the country. But the most disappointing bit is as Ugandans are even taxed with the very little they have, what happens? It is a few individuals that are enriching themselves. It's Museveni and his family, and a few people around him who are enriching themselves. Ugandans wouldn't have any problem. Like, I don't have any problem, because every check I get, money is taken off. But when I drive on the roads, they are excellent. When medical service, it's excellent. So why would I even make noise over money going off my check when I see the services? When there is a storm, I've never been, you know how when there is a storm, you see how the roads are paved. Has anyone ever asked you for money to clean up the roads when there is a storm? No, that is the work of the city. That's what our money do. And you cannot complain. But it hurts for even the people who sell gonja. If little money is taken from them every day, as you call it, I don't know if they call it impose or whatever they call it, what does this money do? Because Ugandans wouldn't have any problem paying taxes if the money was put to variable use. If I went to Kirudu and found medicine, if I went to Kawempe Hospital when I'm going to deliver and there were services, Ugandans wouldn't have any problem paying money. Even those you call poor wouldn't have any problem paying money. When we were growing up, our parents they were growing coffee and they were making money from it, and they used to pay their kids' school fees and they used to pay taxes at the same time. And we must know, all Ugandans pay taxes in terms of VAT. The 18% is the value added tax, of which it's an indirect tax every Ugandan pays. But again, there are these taxes that are direct that they pick from Ugandans on a daily basis. So if the issue is saying don't tax Ugandans, there is nothing wrong with paying taxes. Let him not pay you people. There is nothing wrong. I think Ugandans will be very comfortable paying taxes. One, if their taxes were being put to good use. If money is being stolen, you have rampant corruption, of which President Museveni has done nothing about it. That is money from poor people that is stolen on a daily basis.
But, you know, Sarah, I want to thank you, and that would take me to something different. You've talked about the corruption within the government. Right now, as we're speaking, we have had members of the opposition in the Democratic Party, one of the biggest parties in the country, and parties that have been in place for many years. They're saying that they want to take their presidential candidate, their presidential candidate probably, or their Chairman Norbert Mao, to be investigated by the IGG over misuse of money and probably lost money within the party. They don't know where the money goes that is given by the government to them, and of course the money solicited from the party members. Now, doesn't that mean that even you guys in the opposition are also experiencing the same problem that is affecting the regime that you're fighting against? No,
definitely you must know. That's why earlier I told you, you have opposition members that are more interested in elevating their positions in their political parties. They are more comfortable driving a new car. They are more comfortable, but they are not working for change of Ugandans. That's why you always see bickering in political parties. That's why you see you've had bickering in FDC. You've had people leave FDC. You've had people leave ODP. You've had DP joining NRM, you had NRM. So you always have this bickering in political parties, because even sometimes the intentions of these political parties are not right. It is a few individuals wanting to benefit and enrich and better themselves. But the issue right now, I do not care DP members wanting to take Mao to the IGG. That is not the most pressing thing of Uganda right now. The biggest problem of Uganda, I repeat, is President Yoweri Museveni, not Mao. And those are diversionary.
You know, you guys mentioned so much about President Museveni as the biggest problem, who is, of course, we know, many people know that he's one of the smartest guys in the country politically. And it calls for so many questions. One of the questions that we have today is the people who many Ugandans are expecting to have joined opposition are now going back to NRM.
They are not.
We are seeing Theodore Sechiko going back. We are seeing
one of the things you must understand. One of the things you must understand is one. Look at the trend of the people joining NRM. They are angry people. These people need to eat. It is poverty that is driving people to NRM, and not because they love what Museveni is doing. They are going to eat. Everyone wants to pick. I saw this Hassan Indugwa guy who has been making very good music, revolutionary music. All of a sudden, he joined. I saw Bobiwine wasn't going to feed my family. So basically, when you hear most of them...
Was he right or wrong?
No. Bobiwine is not supposed to feed his family. He's a man, let him work. He doesn't feed Bobiwine's family. But for you... as a person who has been singing revolutionary music, music that is concerning, that talks about the plight of Ugandans, for you to go and join NRM because you went for money, and then just 3 weeks after that, you're complaining because you never received the money. What is he going to do? Because him as a musician, how is he now going to come back? Because I heard these statements where he said, oh, I'm going to go back. Go back where? Go back where? You are a user. You cannot, if you're going to stand with the people, stand with the people. But I've seen so many people, and I'm telling you on the record, most of the people who are joining President Museveni, they are joining him because they want some money. Some people, you see, I've seen people receiving cards, receiving money, but at the end of the day, they're not joining him because they want to support him. They're not joining him because it is the same people who have been criticizing him. Let's use simple common sense. Whatever they've been criticizing, has it changed? Are there better service delivery? Do we have hospitals? Do we have...
We have had instances where people say, oh, maybe what we used to see from the opposition actually wasn't right. The guy is good. The president is doing the great service for the country, serving the country.
Let's talk about simple things that are affecting Ugandans. Do we agree that there are massive levels of unemployment in the country? The answer is yes. Has that changed? So for you to leave opposition and join NRM, has it changed? Do we agree that there is poor service delivery in Uganda? We've seen hospitals from Chirudu to Mulago we've seen, there's a time pictures came from Mulago Hospital where cancer patients were sleeping outside. We've seen these pictures where go to Mulago, the casualty. It is terrible. Has anything changed? No. Has there been better service delivery? Has corruption changed? So for anyone who is leaving the opposition camp, basically these guys they are looking for money. I don't blame them. Some of them are too poor. They need to elevate their, their financial status. They are too poor. But again, most of them are going to be banned from their side because, for example, just like Hassan Indugwa, maybe he could have been able to stage a concert, or maybe he could have been able to do different gigs and earn money. Now he was fighting for money Bebekul was given and he never gave to them. Definitely, these guys are jokers. The moment you take President Museveni, and I'm telling everyone who is going to join President Museveni, if you are wise, don't join before you're given the money. Because President Museveni, all he needs from you is a photo. They need a photo from you and you're finished, especially if you're in a career, you're a musician, or if you're in a career in the service industry where your earning depends on Ugandans. If you're a musician, you need Ugandans, you need people to attend your music. I'll just give you what happened. In Kololo, among the people who were asked to go and sing in Kololo, David Lutalo was among them. They asked Spice Diana, but why didn't they go? David Lutalo knew he had a show. At Africana, you saw it was a full house. Just imagine if David Lutalo was in Kololo. You know what would have happened in Africana? Also musicians,
let me ask
also
you
some of them.
Richard, are you guys in opposition affected by the departure of all these
no, we are not.
influential people?
We are not.
Music
we are not. They are living as individuals. Because let me tell you one thing. One of the things you must understand in the struggle we are in, you either stand with the oppressed or you're not. So if for you, you feel like you are you are impoverished, that you need to better yourself by going on the other side and collecting money. Because if you're living, most of these people who are getting money, who join Museveni and get money, how many people do they give it to when they come back on this other side? They eat it by themselves. So they're not even, they're not bettering anything. Because if you're going to go to Museveni and collect, let's say, 200 million, and you come back and share it with maybe another 200 people, you would make an impact. That will mean you've turned over 200 people to join Museveni. But most of these people, the moment they're given money, they become so big, they stop talking to people. So basically, they're bettering. You're spending 200 million on one individual who is not even going to bring you 5 people. Because what have they done? They've enriched themselves as an individual. One hand, why blame them? Maybe not. They are poor. Ugandans are poor unless you have a strong will and determination to say, you know what, I'm not going to sell my soul. But many Ugandans are going to sell their souls. I'll give an example. Full Figure was given 200 million, she was given a car. What impact from the time she was given money to now? What impact has Full Figure caused in Kampala? You think Full Figure is going to win Kampala for President Museveni?
But he probably was successful. They changed your mindset.
No. I'm telling you, Full Figure herself being given the money. From one of the things I understand, she was living in some slum. She was able to get herself a very nice apartment. She lives a huge life. She has a lot of warlords who are moving around her. you know, who want to be taken to the president. She's a big girl right now. She behaves like a big girl. But out of the 200 million full figure was given, how many Ugandans can she say that I shared this money? Because if you're given money, and these Ugandans are also wise, if you're given 200 million, do not come back and tell us that, vote President Museveni when you're not willing to share the 200 million with us. Ugandans are not stupid. You took 200 million from President Museveni. Don't come and tell me Museveni is good, give him votes. When for you took 200 million.
All right, let me bring in Richard. Richard, Sarah brought in the issue of the entertainers and musicians and all that. And recently, we were discussing about the same issue here. And I asked you guys, are you impacted in any way how these musicians are living or departing from your party? And you said, no, we are not. But right now, we're seeing a number increasing from those we knew to now new people always leaving the opposition, going to join the NRM regime.
Yeah.
And they're taking people from your position to your opposition.
People power is a revolution. It's a very big revolution. These people are nothing. I'm telling you the truth. And they must be very careful with Museveni. Because what the Museveni you see today in Uganda is not the Museveni we know. If you crisscross this way, Museveni used to have his saying, Echipinga. You know what they call Echipinga? You could be killed by Museveni for crisscrossing, from coming from NRA. At the moment you signed for NRA, you entered UFM, you entered UPC, from his side to the other side, you'd be killed. We people just don't know Museveni. So this thing that people that are crossing from because they are given money, they are trying to weaken Honorable Chagwe. It's too late. He must agree. He cannot weaken. Every single day people power is growing stronger and stronger until people power will take the power. That's the issue. Why do you think they say they don't have money now for an election? Now they say in their preliminary budget they don't have money for an election. Because right now, if there's what we call an appraisal. When they do an appraisal to check where they are standing, people power will take them by 90 or 86%. What they are trying to do now is buy time to see that they do reforms. I gave you the other time the newspaper about what they are going to do in parliament.
Right.
What are they going to do? They are going to create semi-federal in Uganda. They are trying to buy time so that they make reforms that people can agree them back to rule the country forever. It's too late. The issues have moved from one angle to the last angle. People are no longer turning back this foolishness of the NRM. If he messes up with the coming election, the people are going to charge the country and they are going to take the country by themselves and they are going to install their own democracy and the leader they want in power.
All right,
that's it.
Let me add on a little bit before you go off. I'll give an example from what you're saying. I'll give an example of what happened to Ronald Mayinja. Ronald Mayinja, and all along we thought he was someone who felt about Uganda, because even way back he used to sing about the plight, revolutionary songs and all that. But Ronald Mayinja was positioning himself in a way of how we can acquire some money from President Museveni. Now, the challenge Ronald Mayinja is going to face, even when he met President Museveni, he refused to have any photos taken. But President Museveni and his company are not stupid. They do not want you to take their money and start shouting onto the other side. You keep shouting people power and all that and make them look fools. So definitely pictures were taken and pictures were leaked. Now what is going to happen? Ronald Mayinja's he has political ambitions which have been buried. And Ronald Mayinja's music career has been buried. Because first of all, as we speak, Golden Band is no longer banned. They kind of disbanded. And now when you look at, right now where we stand right now, can Ronald Mayinja stage a music concert? He cannot. The only thing he can do, Ronald Mayinja, right now, and what has happened to most of these guys who support Museveni, either they go to Serena, whereby they call all the political bigwigs in NRM to sit right there, or they go to Kololo. Can Ronald Mayinja right now as I speak, can he go to Africana and stage a show or go to Lugogo and stage a show just like Lutalo did? He cannot. So Ronald Mayinja, I don't know how much money he was paid to sacrifice his music career for a few amounts of money. But I'm going to ask you, how many people do you think Ronald Mayinja has taken to Museveni? How many? Because one thing you must understand, Ronald Mayinja had funds. Ronald Mayinja himself had funds. But the funds, he has not shared this money with them. Because up to this time, even when after pictures came out, he's still denying. So he's not even willing to share the money he got from Museveni with the funds.
All right,
so as people need to understand, as an individual, you're not going to cause an impact. Because even people who have been supporting President Museveni like Bebe Cool has elevated himself as an individual. Bebe Cool, we know very well, he was renting for over 20, 30 years. When from Tubongana, he collected money, he never paid the musicians. And he built himself a house, he started building apartments. And the musicians who sang in Tubongana felt the heat. Most of them are not going back to the camp because they felt the heat. After Tubongana, they could not go back and perform, do their gigs in the public. Most of them, it took them a long time to come back. So they were really, it had a serious pinch on them. Yet Bebe Cool had taken the money. Bebe Cool was doing very well. So Bebe Cool elevated himself as an individual.
All right, guys.
So for anyone who wishes to join President Museveni, you don't cause an impact.
All right.
The only person who can cause an impact if he joins President Museveni, maybe it's Bobiwine.
And that's, chances are, maybe yes or no.
No, he cannot.
Right.
He cannot.
Right, so, guys, I want to thank you. Now, before we close the show, I always go with my closing statement or argument. We have seen all these political parties coming together, telling us information. It's something like I started with. But the fact should remain that these political parties should style up their game. They cannot come up to us today and they tell us that we are uniting, we are doing this and that, we are joining forces, and at the same time they use their other strong men and women to go and fight against the same cause they're talking about. That is total BS. We cannot continue accepting that. They are lying to the Ugandan people. They say we are doing this, they are acting differently, they don't walk the talk. Now that's the opposition, but that's what we want that's not what I think Ugandans need to see come 2021, because their hope, as many Ugandans have always said and have always gone in the streets to fight both internationally and locally, is to see that the President Museveni is taken out of power. That's according to the youth, some who have just joined in politics and some veterans who have been in politics, but they see a new wing that can change the political dynamics of the country. The question is, are the opposition members or the leaders of opposition, are they ready to come up with a single candidate to host President Museveni? We should remember that President Museveni is not a young kid who is going to sleep as these guys are organizing. We know that, of course, they've always rigged the votes. People have said that, they've gone to courts, nothing has changed. We know that the media has always been used. We know that international observers have always given different statements. The big question that stands, are these guys in the opposition ready to come up and team up to host President Museveni? I want to leave that question to you. You may take some time and answer it to find out what exactly is going on, but maybe some of these opposition political leaders are actually lying to Ugandans. That's my take. Guys, I want to thank you for joining me today. Sarah Joy, I want to thank you for coming in. Richard, I want to thank you. And to our viewers, thank you for always watching Uganda at Crossroads. We are always here. Now, we had some issues with our Facebook page, but now we are good. That's why you were not in position to watch us live last weekend. But we're now all set. So we promise that we're going to be live. And of course, when our app is out, you'll be in a position to download it. And remember, you may also get a chance to win millions and millions of money when it's out, just by downloading the app. Have a great week. We'll see you next weekend. Guys, I want to thank you. Have a nice weekend and nice week.